This is the third morning in a row that we've had 10 degrees below zero or less. And the freeze misers are doing well. They're keeping our irrigation lines open, and we have about 275 feet of irrigation lines run from the house out here. It's having no problem staying thawed out. Our overflow over here, it runs out this black pipe and along the fence, and with the water moving through there constantly, we haven't had that freeze up either. So a little bit of ice buildup here yesterday because it was really windy coming across the field, and it was blowing the stream from the freeze miser out and over the edge at times. So that's why that ice is built up there. But it's doing really good. Highly recommend freeze miser product if you're looking for a solution to keep your water lines open to your livestock in the winter during freezing temperatures. So I think this is the coldest morning. Should be warming up from here. So I'm out here this morning, actually headed out to the barn to milk. I want to show you the irrigation lines that I've got set up connected to these freeze misers, and you can kind of see that kind of windy, snaky trail through this fresh snow. That's actually our irrigation lines, just laid on top of the ground there. It does run from the house back there underneath the driveway and comes out this little drain in the side of this hill and then winds down around. It kind of goes behind me here and then over to what is kind of our milk house here, and then it splits here. There's a T intersection right there. One goes back around the other side of the barn, back to the pigs. The other one follows in front of the barn here and down around the corner, and that one goes to the cows. So that's just how I've got my water lines run. They're just laying on top of the ground for the most part, except for the small piece that goes underneath the driveway. And those freeze misers, one on each end, are able to kind of keep this line open. And you can tell, you know, the way the snow is melting around it. It's not super efficient, that it's letting a lot of heat out and able to melt that snow. So I would say if we're doing this long term, those lines should be buried and insulated in order to retain the heat and not have to drip so much. We do see quite a bit of drip coming out of both ends, but on the other hand, it is keeping it from freezing, so that's a benefit there. But let's go down and we'll check the freeze misers this morning and see how they're running, and make sure everything's good to go. About 2 inches of fresh snow last night. It's been kind of a really weird winter, where, you know, we've been without snow for a while. We did get a couple inches last night, but it's going to be in the 40s again. Very atypical as far as Wisconsin winters go. But here we are down here by the pig water, and I've just got the irrigation line comes down alongside of the barn between these buildings, right alongside the pig hut here, and then it switches over to garden hose. And then I do use brass connections here on the actual device itself. The device has plastic threads, and when I was using the irrigation connectors, they use plastic threads as well, and they would cross thread or they would strip out. So I switched to this piece of garden hose because it had the brass connectors, and that's worked really well to keep everything tight. But you can see there's quite a bit of drippage coming out here as it is pretty chilly this morning. And this one is just the tank is set on an angle so that everything drips here, and then it's a little bit of a downhill. The creek is kind of out back this way, so the water just kind of runs off the side here down onto the ground, and then it runs under my feet here over to the creek. So this one's running good, getting lots of water out to our pig here. The other one, I'll just walk this way a little bit. I can already hear it running, so I know that it's open. There's Dozy. Morning, Dozy. So if we look back this way, right over there, that's our stock tank for the cows. Kind of sits between those two, underneath that fence there, and each side is accessible to the cows. So we can kind of keep them separate as we need to, but they all have water. I can hear it dripping over there, so it's running well. It did not freeze up last night, The thing that I love the most about these freeze misers is that it's a set it and forget it device. So I installed these back when we had the cold snap a few weeks ago, almost a month ago now. I installed those devices to get us through that 10 below spell, and they've just been connected ever since. So it got up to in the 40s, almost 50s here for a while, and they turned off. They stopped dripping, which is perfect. That's what we want. We don't need the water running. Then, you know, we don't need to have it dripping and wasting that water. So they automatically shut off. The lines stayed thawed out when the temperatures were high enough. And then last night we had the storm. It came through and dropped a couple inches of snow. It was a little bit chilly. It's going to be chilly for the next couple days, but I didn't have to do anything. I don't have to turn the water on. I don't have to, you know, adjust the flow so it's dripping. They just do their thing, and they've been working well. So I'm really happy with them. And you know, I think we'll use them in the future as we need to. I think I kind of mentioned a couple times that these are temporary devices, or rather it's a temporary solution to the cold water issue that we've been having, and keeping our lines thawed so I don't have to haul buckets. But the reason why I think it's temporary is, number one, it's a device that's guaranteed for 2 years. So you can use it. This will be our first season with it. We'll use it next season. But I'm going to be a little bit more cautious with it next season because I just don't know how well they're going to work up here. I know a lot of people use them in Texas and down south to keep their lines, the outdoor spigots open. I don't know how they work when they're open for most of the year. So ours, you know, we get below that 37 mark and we stay there for months on end. So I just wonder if that affects the quality at all, and I'll let everybody know here, you know, how that works out for us next year. The other reason why I think this is a temporary solution is because you know, the devices themselves, they don't require power, but it does require power at the water pump. So if if these are open and they're running and they're letting water flow and the power goes out at the house because of a winter storm, which happens often, these lines that I have laying on the ground, they're going to freeze up very fast. I actually took apart a connection back here. If I spin around here, in front of the barn, there's a connector there, and I was having issues over here with one of the connectors and those plastic threads that I was talking about. I needed to replace it, so I disconnected and I turned off the water. I've got a little valve over here. I turned that off, and then I was working on this line, and in the 5 minutes or so that it took me to swap out those connectors, this line down here that was buried in the snow had already froze up. So if our power is out for more than 5 minutes, I totally expect that our lines are going to freeze, and then I'm being back to hauling buckets. And if that happens while we're away from home for some reason, for an extended period of time, the power goes out, these lines freeze up, the power comes back on. You know, it can range anywhere from just the animals not having water they need all the way up to lines breaking out here or anything, and just letting water flow and creating a big mess. So I don't know what the solution is. You have the same issue if you have tank heaters in. The power goes out, they can freeze up on you. The benefit there is a tank heater, the power comes back on, the heater comes back on, and eventually it thaws out. So here, if the power comes back on, there's no way to thaw those out without actively going out and thawing them out myself, or taking the sections apart of the irrigation line and bring them into the house to thaw out. It takes a lot of work to do that. So that's why I think it's a temporary solution, albeit, you know, it's a good one. It's saved my back a lot this winter. So I think it's a really good solution. I love these devices. I would recommend them to anybody who's looking to not have to haul buckets, but I will be looking into more permanent solutions as we continue to build out this homestead. So whether that's a heated tank type situation, automatic water with heat, but whatever we decide for a long-term solution, we'll keep you guys posted and let you know. But right now, these are working great. No power outages this winter, thankfully, and it's been a very mild winter, so these have been working awesome, saving my back. All right, guys, catch you on the next one.